Welcome to the Better Town Toolkit, an interactive web-based manual to help you improve the prosperity, sustainability, and quality of life in your community. The website's been designed with citizen planners like you in mind. Before showing you how to build a better town, let's introduce you to our best practices. So let's start with Do It Right. We have organized the best practices into these three themes. Nature shows you how to protect the environment even as you change and grow. Links shows you how to make connections between the places in your community. And what we're calling communities, which is mixed-use development. It shows you how to create walkable, neighborhood-oriented places where people can live, work, shop, and play in close proximity. The green, tan, and pink color coding is used throughout the site for the design details and best practices. Each of the landing pages for each of these three themes is organized the same way. 3 rows of objectives, and in each row, a thumbnail photo with a strategy that you can employ. Each of these, in turn, is associated with a set of specific details, tools, and actions. Let's look at one of these in more depth. Suppose we look at nature. Suppose, as part of our effort to protect natural and scenic resources, we decide that we need to protect watersheds and freshwater wetlands. Each of the strategy pages will look like this. There's an overview at the top, a list of design details, here or there on the left, and below the tools and actions that you can employ that are associated with this strategy. Let's click on one. Let's say detail N10. Here you see a detail of how a constructed wetland is built and functions. There is also a photograph of an example. Different details have more or less of these photos in the detail slide shows. In this case, there is only one. On the left is a list of related details. That is, other details that deal with water quality and protection of freshwater wetlands. These icons can also be selected, and they will take you to those details. For example, we could choose rainwater harvesting. What about implementation, tools, and actions? You will find these at the bottom of the strategy pages. You will see that the tools and actions are of 3 kinds. They're planning tools, regulatory tools, and administrative actions. We did this because different actors in your community are likely to be responsible for different tools and actions. What is important to understand here is that in general, a broad range of tools and actions and a diverse set of actors are required to implement your vision and keep it on track over the long term. Here we could find specific examples that are relevant to our goal of protecting watersheds. You will notice that below each tool and action listed, there is colored text that says either See Plan, See Tool, or See Action. If you click there, it will take you to a page that explains the tool or action in more detail. For example, suppose we decide that we want our municipality to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the adjacent towns. This takes us to a page that explains intermunicipal agreements in more detail. All the pages for all the tools and actions follow the same format. There's the description, the purpose, the issues, and the advantages. The issues line is important. This action may sound appealing, but you need to know the challenges, especially related to local capacity. For example, will you need to set up some special commission or to monitor the agreement or measure water quality? Let's go back to the best practices landing page. Finally, you can see a summary list of both the design details and the tools and actions at the bottom of this landing page. Let's click on View All Design Details. Here is a summary list of all the details, again color-coded. These links will take us directly to the details we looked at previously. For example, N10, constructed wetlands. Similarly, if we click on View All Tools and Actions, you will see a summary list of all the planning tools, regulatory tools, and administrative actions. And here, under Administrative Actions, we can click on Intermunicipal Agreements, and we get back to the same page we saw earlier. Now that you've been introduced to the best practices, tools, and details, let's go back to the home page and look at the other major way to enter the site, and that is by picking the kind of place that we want to fix. We can click on Fix a Place. You will see that we have divided the world into these 6 types of places. Before looking at any one of these in more detail, it's important to note that the place that you are trying to fix may fit perfectly into one of these 6 categories, but it is just as likely that your place won't be a perfect fit, or that your place will share some features of more than one type of place. This doesn't matter because the same best practices apply almost anywhere. So just pick the place that feels right. Let's say you decide that your place is most like a downtown. The pages for each of the 6 place types will look like this. The top of the page lists some of the key characteristics of this place type. The slideshow on the right has some typical images, in this case of downtowns, that will help you see whether or not this is the kind of place you are trying to fix. In the middle of the page, you can toggle between the 2 extremes of what can happen, along with renderings of what that looks like. There is conventional development, in which new projects in the downtown seem out of context, have too much surface parking, and ignore environmental best practices. And there is a preferred development pattern, in which compact mixed-use building types reinforce the character of the streets and other public spaces in the downtown. Towards the bottom of the page, you will see that preferred development pattern explained in terms of the best practice themes we were just looking at, in terms of nature, links, and communities. If the lists of best practices and their associated details look familiar, it is because these lists are exactly the same as the lists we were just looking at when we were walking through the best practices. And if we click on any one of them, let's say under Communities we decide to promote mixed-use buildings, we will get to the same kind of best practice landing page we were just looking at, with the overview, the details, and the planning tools and actions. Let's go back to the downtown place type by using the computer's back arrow. We can also click right on a detail number associated with one of the best practices. For instance, let's click on Links and then select Detail L30, Deal with Parking Creatively. This takes you to, again, a similar detail page. Finally, at the very bottom of the page, in some cases you will find a more detailed plan that calls out more specific details that are relevant only to that place type. For example, here in the case of downtowns, how to do one-story commercial infill. Let's go back to the home page because I want to introduce you to one last part of the website. We have assembled projects that we think are good examples or case studies. If you click on See Examples, you will land on this gallery of thumbnail photos. And when you click on any one of them, let's say the Excelsior and Grand Corridor redevelopment project, you will land on a page with a full description of what was done. And for some of the case studies, the explanation again will be in terms of our 3 themes of nature, links, and communities. That's it. Feel free to use any of the materials on this website for your own purposes. There is really no right way or wrong way to use this site. Just start exploring and you will be on your way to building a better town.